So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show. First segment talking to the Tampa Bay YMCA and Angela Duncan about our foundation and some of the community outreach we're doing and the cool things going on at the YMCA. And I want to talk next, unfortunately, about a not wonderful subject, and it's the government shutdown and how it impacts our industry. I think each of us sitting here has an impact on all of us. And but probably from the real estate space, homeowners insurance and mortgages. Mike, you guys obviously with certain loan products and different things, there's definitely going to be some holdups in the process for anyone that if it doesn't resume shortly.
One of the big ones out there is just tax transcripts. With the government being shut down, the IRS would be essentially closed. So all lenders, to my knowledge, unless maybe it's a portfolio program that a bank may be offering, require either W-2 transcripts or tax transcripts. So, with a shutdown, you can't get those items. So that, a big one. But then your government loans, VA, FHA, you're going to run into some problems there as well.
Because those are just, you just can't even get them to, you can't get anything done. If
right,
they're not there to answer the phone, to push a button to fund the loan, guess what?
Exactly. Like with VA loans, for instance, we have to get a certificate of eligibility, which lets the lender know how much entitlement a VA borrower has and what their buying power is. We order that directly from the VA. So if they're closed, we can't get that, unless someone happens to already have it already, which most veterans or active duty members don't have that readily available. So, that can slow down the process for sure.
It can also, I think, when you start to look at a lot of other aspects to it, there's a trickle-down effect of so many other things. People whose employment you can't verify that work for the government or a contractor of the government. There's so many challenges. You could probably look at least half of real estate closings having problems because of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Could cause some major delays. Another one, for instance, we don't do a ton around here, but USDA loans.
Correct.
We have to send the loan to them for their commitment. If they're closed, we can't get that. Yeah. So, again, just
if someone's in the military and they're getting a mortgage, there could be some holdups with you verifying certain pieces of information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Richard, what about your side of things on the insurance front? With the government the government shutdown or hold up or whatever you want to call it. What are some impacts that you guys see?
Well, the biggest one is flood insurance.
Yeah, FEMA.
Because it's a FEMA program. When the government shuts down, we can't write flood insurance through FEMA. Now, luckily, we have, over the last few years, there's been a lot of private flood insurance companies come into the area. So we do have the ability to, kind of go around it and work with private flood insurance companies, which sometimes is better, sometimes may not be better. So it's kind of a roll of the dice, but at least we have a way to not hold up the closing.
For non-flood insurance, though, for the most part, besides the stuff that holds up the closing on the mortgage side, there's not a lot of impacts. It's mostly all private.
Right, exactly. Those are all private companies. There's Citizens, but Citizens did not stop writing. I guess that's more of a state level than a federal thing. It's primarily the flood insurance where it's the big holdup. So if you're buying a house in Fishhawk or Polk County or something like that, it might not be that big of a deal. But if you're looking at a house in Pinellas County, it could be a big problem.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Closing.
Joe, I would assume, and I don't think there's a lot of government in your business, but I would assume just if closings get delayed, that obviously pushes sales for you or could cause sales not to happen for you.
Well, absolutely. The selfish part of it is with business. If mortgage is being held up and I'm waiting for this customer to close, we can't install a security system. So I imagine it affects many people. When real estate's being affected,
it trickles down.
It trickles down. Everyone's got to feel it. And like you said, exactly. If I'm waiting on something to close and we've got an install ready to go, everything gets pushed out. It costs money, time, energy, which nobody likes to.
Yeah. And what a lot of people don't understand is the trickle-down effect, like we talked about in real estate, how it kind of bleeds into other things. But also, I think the important part of it is how so many closings are contingent on others. Or, for example, a closing is contingent on someone taking action. So here's an example. Let's say someone's buying a house, and once they buy and close, they're going to put their house on the market. Well, they can't close, so that sale gets eliminated or pushed back, and the listing of their home and the buyer of that home gets pushed back, and then the person that buys that one has something to sell. I mean, it's literally, you
It's a
take
huge
out one
domino
occasion,
effect.
yeah, you take out one of the equations. It's similar to how, you know, a lot of people that you know, I've gotten feedback from people that listen to the show that said, hey, you know, I feel like you talk about first-time home buyers too much. And, you know, but the reality is, without that first-time home buyer piece, all those other pieces don't happen. Tampa Bay's real estate market is super, super healthy because there's an amazing amount of activity between $200,000 and $300,000 for first-time home buyers that cause a domino effect of people being able to sell their 300 and 400 and 500 because the guy that sells his 200 goes out and buys a 350 and then that guy goes out and buys a 500. So if you take away the first piece of that equation, you know, all the rest of the dominoes don't fall. So that's why it's so important. And obviously this happening, and depending on how long it is, could have a domino effect of a lot of other results.
Absolutely. So, you know, I guess it's February 8th. It's up again.
That's
so
the next one. They
hopefully
kick the can
they come
down
to
the
an
curve
agreement.
a
Hopefully we
little
get
longer.
something done until February. All
Right.
right, so we'll be back after a quick break, continuing this conversation as well as talking about some new security system and technology stuff after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show.